What is going on, everybody? I know you thought I was gone forever, but I'm back. Like I said, I would be away for a little while, but I was a little bit longer than I was expecting it to be. If I'm honest with you, I was taking a little bit of a break, and then when I came back from that break, I have to be honest, I didn't really feel very encouraged to really do any videos, to be completely honest with you. So that's kind of why it's taken me so long to actually get back into it. But I'm back now. This video is going to be, as the title suggests, a big catch up. This is a little bit different to usual videos. I'm going to cover comic book stuff and video game stuff. Things that kind of just came to mind. So if I do miss anything, please let me know in the comments. Hit me up on those comments and I'll probably try to check it out. Anything that you think I should have probably checked out that I probably missed or don't mention in this video. So let's get straight onto it. First of all, we'll do some comic book stuff. I've actually been collecting all of the Civil War comics, but I haven't actually started reading it yet. So far I've only actually read Civil War Zero, Civil War Two. Civil War 2 Zero. I haven't actually read the first issue and so on and so on, but I've heard a lot of good things and interesting things have been happening already. Can't wait for that. Speaking of people involved in that Civil War 2 storyline, I know there was big news about Iron Man, there being a new Iron Man or Iron Woman, I guess. That I think she's about 15 or 16, this black teenager. I think her name was Rai Williams. I think the Williams is not necessarily correct, but if I'm wrong, please correct me. I think that's a really interesting and kind of cool step. That these main kind of, you could say like the big three of the Avengers with Thor, Captain America, and Iron Man have all had seismic changes. So you had obviously Odin's son was Thor, but now it's Jane Foster. If you didn't know that, you should have known that already. Sorry if I spoiled that for you. You should have read that. That was like last year. Come on, man, keep up. Then you have Tony Stark kind of passing on the baton, so to speak, and then you had Sam Wilson, the Falcon, become Captain America as well. So a lot of interesting changes and dynamics going ahead with Marvel, and I think that's really a good idea. Really, I mean, yeah, it does. Obviously, you're still paying homage to those characters that have been around for so long, but it could become quite stale if you just have the same characters do the same things over and over and over again. It's nice to have different characters take on those monikers and see how they would deal with it. Give them different dynamics, different demographics. You know, by changing the race and the age and stuff like that, it allows for a lot of different stories to be told that couldn't have been told with the original characters. So that's a really good step forward, I think. Speaking of other things that have changed, you have in DC, you have Superman, who's also part of, they're saying, the Justice League of China, which I think is really cool. You don't really get many heroes from that part of the world, so I like that DC are going there and changing it up, so to speak. And I like this whole rebirth idea. A lot of those comics I really want to get into, so if any of you have read any of them or are reading them, suggest a few to me in the comments, and I'll try my best to catch up with that. What else? That's kind of it for me in terms of comic book stuff. Obviously there's a lot of indie titles I'm trying to catch up with too, and that's obviously going to happen probably later in the week, maybe, or in the future. I don't want to give you a date and then it doesn't happen. So in the future, I'm going to try and do some video or two about some indie comics that I've been interested in, I've been reading. Okay, so moving on to games. This is probably going to take up it will take up the larger amount of the video. E3. I did miss it. I didn't manage to see it. I was in a place where I couldn't get the internet, so there was no E3 coverage. I was literally sitting there for like the entire week wondering about what happened. I looked at a little bit of recaps, a few different games, and that's for all three of the big three, you could say, in terms of video game companies. I thought all three of them had quite a good show. I think Microsoft could have probably done a little bit better in terms of speaking about the Xbox One Scorpio and then not really showing it, kind of like, oh, by the way, it exists. I mean, I guess that's how you always do like console reveals though, but I mean, how much different can it really be? It's still an Xbox One, so it's not going to be that drastic. I think the announcement of the Xbox One S was really obvious. Everyone saw that coming. But I do like the redesign. It's very similar, but it doesn't look as much as of a Betamax anymore. It's a lot more streamlined, a lot more. I like the matte finish. It looks nice. And the very subtle changes they've made to the control pad as well. I think that's nice too. Um, I think a lot of their games are still looking. Their game library is still very strong. Um, I was surprised by that Halo Wars 2 announcement. Didn't really see that one coming, but fair enough. Was it Halo Wars 2 or Halo Wars? Yeah, I think it's Halo Wars 2. Once again, if I'm wrong, correct me in the comments. I thought that a lot of the games that they showed were quite good. I mean, obviously, sadly, I can't actually buy any of them because I don't have an Xbox One. But I think for games that do have an Xbox One, there's still a lot of good games that they can be looking forward to, and that is kind of what's important. I think for all three is to have consistency, to have titles that are always going to have people looking to the future to what can I play next on my console. So I think that Microsoft definitely ticked that box. Moving on to Sony, one game that really surprised me that I was kind of like, ooh, I don't really know if I'm gonna wanna bang that was that Detroit. I can't human come subtitle Detroit or whatever. I thought that it was a lot like gonna just be like exactly like Heavy Rain since Konami are developing it, but it's not. It's a little bit different, and the story seems to be quite interesting. To be honest, something I definitely like to explore. I like narrative led games. Funny enough, and I'm sorry, but I have to admit it. And even if you're gonna hate me in the comments, I don't really care. But I have to say it. Didn't actually like Heavy Rain that much. I played it. Found it a bit boring. Not gonna lie. I hope this game's not like that. From what I've seen so far, it doesn't seem to be that way. So yeah, definitely holding up for that one. Horizon. That game looks amazing. Can't wait to play it. I love that whole open world. Yeah, I love open world games anyway, but I love this whole idea of it's kind of combining future tech with almost barbaric settings in terms of character design and things like that. I really like that mix of old and new. I think that there has a lot of potential there, and based on this new demo that they showed off at E3, the game seems to be playing really well as well, very smooth. A lot of interesting gameplay mechanics as well, so I'm looking forward to experimenting with that, and hopefully the story can also match that. So, because it's no good having a great open world, all these cool gameplay mechanics, but then the story itself is actually really boring. I mean, yeah, that wouldn't be any good. So hopefully that can finish off the trifecta. There were a few different games that I thought looked quite interesting. Most of them are multi-platform games anyway, but now I have to move on to the real deal. The real game that I'm going to talk about for the rest of this video. You know what I'm going to do, right? That one game I wanted to see from Nintendo. That Legend of Zelda Doge. Hey. Okay, so that was the game I just couldn't wait to see it. The entire time I was away, I was thinking to myself, I wonder what the game's like. I wonder what the new name is, because I knew they had to reveal the name sooner or later. When I got back, that was the first thing I looked up. Legend of Zelda now, and then I found out it's this name Breath of the Wild, which is kind of unlike any Zelda game's name before it. I mean, Zelda games the subtitle tends to be quite obvious pertaining to what's going to happen in the game. Like Skyward Sword was about a sword. Ocarina of Time was about the Ocarina of giving you the ability to, and so on and so on. Link's Awakening is about, and then Link to the Past, and so on and so on and so on. But Breath of the Wild is a little bit more, I wonder what that really means, what that's about. And then, obviously, Nintendo didn't have this, a reveal in the same way that they usually would. They didn't have a conference, they didn't have a, Nintendo Direct. So, having to watch them do the Treehouse Live events, I think initially I thought that was a bad idea. I thought, no, you should show it off, but I think it was actually a stroke of genius, because showing people playing it live shows you how the game actually plays in real life settings as opposed to a staged setting. In terms of, oh, you know, obviously it's like a staged demo because they've built a demo build of the game that you can play, but it's more of a natural gameplay session as opposed to let's show you a gameplay trailer. It just shows that the game is in more of a situation where it's ready to be shown off, having live gameplay builds as opposed to just staged ones, and also just showing off cutscenes and stuff like that. Obviously we want to know what the game is, but like they even alluded to in various different Treehouse live sessions, were saying that they're purposely not showing a lot of story stuff so that a lot of it's fresh and new and you actually do get to play the game, which I think is also another stroke of genius, because it, even though they're showing off such a long demo and so much gameplay, they're not actually giving a lot away, which is really, really good. And even you see on the map, for example, they're showing you places that you can go to. You can't go to them in this version of the build, but just to show you how huge the map actually is. I think that's also another, so many great elements Nintendo trying to show off with this new game, really showing that it's a different version as opposed to any Zelda game that has come before it. So I love this whole idea of having, anyway, you're kind of just waking up and then you're instantly kind of thrust into this open world, and it kind of just goes, well, you know, go where you like. That's not really happened in any Zelda game that I can really think of. I mean, it gives you an open world or a big world, but it's telling you, know, you have to actually go here or go there, A or B. But in this version, they were kind of just like, there's this huge place, get on with it. I love that whole idea that Nintendo are trying to change a lot of the different mechanics and a lot of different things that people already know about Zelda, kind of flip it on its head. So really happy about that. Also, the fact that it was just, there were so many small things that I saw that really impressed me, like the ability to, for example, when you have a stick that has fire on it and you throw it into like things that are flammable, they catch fire. I think that's kind of cool. Being able to cook is kind of awesome too. Like you mix up all these different ingredients and it makes different types of things, and there are loads of different ways of cooking things and having different things. Yeah, I just love that whole idea. Nintendo are really, really trying to push it. And when I heard that how much the game actually cost to develop it, and then you look at it, it's not really that surprising that this game is going to have to make a whole heap of money for Nintendo to make the money back. But I think making it a dual release for NX and Wii U is going to allow them to be able to get that money back. I think that Nintendo are in a very strong position, actually, which is kind of funny how I wasn't really thinking that way before. I thought Nintendo were going to be having to have an uphill climb in terms of their E3 presentation, but it shows that you don't have to have all the spectacle, all of the you know, the big stages and all of that kind of stuff to really impress. You just have to have a game that's worth people wanting to see. Yeah, and Nintendo have always had that with Zelda, and it was a really smart idea, just having that one game kind of be the swan song for the Wii U. As it is right now, I think the future's looking bright for Nintendo fans, and I'm happy to be one of those people. And yeah, I think it's good to be back. It took me a while to come back into doing videos. I didn't really want to do it, I have to be honest with you. Wasn't really feeling it, but I'm back now. So yeah, it's your boy Jay out to the Smash. You know what to do with these videos, man. Hit me up in those comments. Let me know if there's anything I missed. I'm sure I have. Fill me in, because there's still a lot of things that I have to catch up with. What games did you really enjoy from E3? Let me know in the comments. Comic book stuff, any good reads that I didn't mention that you think I should be reading, let me know in the comments too. And you know what to do with these videos, man. Like, share and subscribe, because man needs all subscribers, players. And I'll be seeing mans on the next video. You know what to do. It's your boy Blair out.